everyone. Welcome to the May 2nd Board of Selectmen meeting. As a preliminary matter, I am John Jeffries, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. Robin Hunter and David Haviland are in attendance this evening. Robin, could you identify yourself? And David?
You're on mute, Robin.
Robin Hunter, present. Thank you, Dave.
Dave Haviland, present. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm going to remind everyone the meeting is being conducted remotely via Zoom through Governor Healy's authorization of March 2023 regarding the open meeting law. Individuals wishing to participate may do so utilizing the Zoom video conferencing technology. Please note the meeting is being recorded and shared live on Facebook and broadcast by the Dover-Sherburne Cable Television. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you. Take care not to share your screen or your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured and recorded. Please remember to mute your computer. And when you speak, please identify yourself. Specifically, if you are a resident of Dover, identify yourself and the street to which you reside. I'm going to confirm that we have a quorum, which we have done with Dave Haviland, myself. Michael Blanchard is also in attendance. Chris Costello is here. And we have Mona DeShilla, who's actually making all of this happen behind the scenes. So this evening, in every Board of Selectmen meeting, the first order of business is always citizen speak. This evening, I've been notified by many members of our community in anticipation of this evening's meeting that they would like to be heard. So the item for which most are in attendance this evening is the second item on our agenda, the matter of the Board of Fire Engineers. I want to take this opportunity now to let individuals who would like to be heard. I'd also wish to remind everyone that there will be time to be recognized during the second item. So what I will ask is, first let me state that we are in receipt of the letter that most of you signed and many members of the department signed. I want you all to know that we, the Board of Selectmen, take these matters very seriously. Your safety and the critical service that you deliver to your town is our primary concern. We want you to know that we will do everything that we can to look into this matter, to investigate it thoroughly, and we're going to do it properly with guidance from our town council and from our HR. So having said that, I'm just going to remind you all that I know most of you very well. And I have a very high regard for everything that you do. I also know the Board of Fire Engineers extremely well. We have a very high degree of confidence in our Board of Fire Engineers. We're neighbors, we're friends. Our kids go to school together. And I want to remind everyone that this is a small town and we will do things with a high degree of professionalism and a very high degree of civility. So I'm going to ask who, if any of you would like to be heard as a preliminary matter, and I'll also remind everyone we will have time for questions during the second session.
Mr. Chairman, if I may quickly.
Yes, David.
Since for those who are not familiar with this is an actual working meeting. And so the citizens' comments are held to 5 minutes in the beginning so that we can get to the business of the town before us. And so I would just like everyone to be aware that it is, if you would like to speak, to keep that in mind.
Robin, would you like to add anything?
No, I thank you, Dave, for stating that. Those, as the posted agenda stated that as well.
Terrific. So, thank you. Thank you both. I'm going to open this up to the citizen speak portion there is a hand raise function unless you've had conversations amongst yourself and you've identified individuals who would like to handle the citizens portion of this. Chris, are there hands being raised in the chat function, or if there is somebody who would like to begin and you can't reach the hand raise portion of it, please feel free to speak at the president.
Put your hand up.
Yeah, put your hand up. Thank you.
Hey, John, I'll speak if that's okay. This is Mike
Mike.
Lynch. I live at
Yeah.
173 Center Street. I'm a member of the Dover Fire Department. Appreciate your comments. I'll be quick. The only thing that I was hoping to raise or see raised in this first citizens comment period was that the letter of no confidence would be addressed. So with your assurance that it will, and with the opportunity to ask questions and discuss that during that agenda item, I don't think I have anything more to say as a citizen comment period.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Terrific. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience. The first item on the agenda this evening is the Chief Joseph Vinci, our police chief. Chief, good evening.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Are you sporting the are you sporting the current colors or the future colors?
This is the current colors. This is the French blue.
So for those of you that are unaware, the chief has asked us, the board to vote on a motion to change the colors of the uniform. Chief, would you like to give a little bit of background on this? And I know we've discussed it preliminary earlier, so.
Sure. So this is one of the things that I identified that I wanted to change. It's not terribly crucial, but we're one of the few departments that still are in this area that wear French blue. The problem with French blue is that the uniform manufacturers do not make as many styles of uniform in the French blue, so we're very limited as to what we can wear. There's better options out there to go with our load-bearing vests, and almost all of it is dark navy. And I was at a chief's meeting this morning, and I was the sole person in French blue out of about 20 chiefs. So again, we can get more different practical upgraded styles of uniforms if we were to go to the navy blue shirt. And again, the ones we currently wear, they're not terribly practical. They're wool blend. They're cold in the winter and hot in the summer. And they're much more expensive than some newer versions of uniforms that are out there and available in dark navy. So based on those reasons, and I had polled the whole agency during my first couple of weeks when I met with all the officers, and there wasn't one officer that spoke out against it. And as a matter of fact, I believe all were for it. So that's why I'm here tonight, to ask the board to approve that uniform change, so that we can start it sometime after the beginning of the new fiscal year in July.
Thank you very much. Robin, questions, comments?
I support the chief's recommendation.
Thank you. David?
Let's make the motion.
I move to approve a uniform change for the Dover Police Department to a dark navy shirt per Article 6, uniforms and equipment of the collective bargaining agreement between the town of Dover and the Dover Police Association, and ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor? I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Haviland.
Chief?
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing the navy blue uniforms. It's my favorite color.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Robin, I thought for sure Robin was going to say, I look forward to seeing it, just not in my rear view mirror with the lights on.
I am a very cautious driver.
She is not a good driver.
At stop signs.
Yeah. So we're going to move to item 2, and this is the item I referred
you.
to earlier. And Chief, thank you very much for your time this evening. The presenters this evening for Article 2 are the Dover Board of Fire Engineers, Kate Canny and Jim Dolly. Kate, Jim, how are you?
You're on mute, Jim.
Okay, good. Thank you, John. Thank you. First, I want to talk about the letter that we received, I believe, last Friday. It's a very concerning letter, and it's been turned over to Mike Blanchard's office, and HR and Town Labor Council has hired an independent investigator to investigate the allegations. That's the statement. We will not take any questions after this. Kate, you want to go talk about the interim?
Right. So we have 2 issues that we're would like to discuss with the Board of Selectmen tonight. We have 2, one is a pending vacancy and one is a vacancy. This spring, Chief Lutazzi retired from the Dover Fire Department. His last day of work was April 1st, 2024. We currently have an interim fire chief who statutorily, based on age requirements, will be required to retire from the fire department in July on his 65th birthday. So that presents us with a vacancy of a upcoming vacancy in the position of fire chief. Prior to Chief Lutazzi's departure, we had begun having conversations and have had them for some time about the future of the Dover Fire Department, the standards under which departments are being managed, the challenges that departments are facing, the everyday management. As some people who may be watching tonight, we're a will call department. We are dependent on our volunteer community serving this department. And up until, right now, the chief, while a paid position, is also a volunteer position. During exit conversations with Chief Lutazzi, it became apparent to us that this is a full-time job, running this department, and really does require the ability to focus on this in a full-time capacity. That is a challenge for any member who has a career, a family, and other challenges. There are a lot of demands, meetings. We are a mutual aid community, meeting with other communities, participating in training sessions. As you know, the Board of Selectmen has authorized the town to participate in a dispatch, a regional 911. That is something that the fire chief would also be participating in. We also have the fact that Mr. David Tiberi left the department earlier this year. So the position of fire inspector is also vacant. And we would like to recommend and consider that we have a professional interim fire chief for the fiscal year commencing on July 1st, that position be in place for 1 year so that the town can evaluate the benefits of having a full-time fire chief. Now, it's important to note that any member of the current fire department would be welcome to apply for that position, but knowing that it's a full-time fire chief, that the fire chief would be on site Monday through Friday during working hours to participate in town meetings, inspections, what have you. We think that this would be a significant benefit to the town. As this process goes along, that we would be evaluating it and seeing if we do believe this would be a benefit. And over the course of the time, would then begin to advertise and post for a full-time chief to be put in place on or about July 1st, 2025. Second vacancy we have is on the Board of Fire Engineers. Mr. Ford Spalding has served on the board for years and did a fantastic job. Mr. Spalding and his wife moved out of Dover in February of this year, and we now have a vacancy. We have 2 interested parties that we have asked to submit letters of interest and develop resumes of information that might pertain to serving on this position. It is our intent that once we are in receipt of this information, that Mr. Dolly and I will independently meet with each candidate and talk to them about the position. It's important to note that Mr. Jolly and I cannot meet together with these people because it constitutes an open meeting. After we conduct those initial meetings, we will then have each person come and meet with the board. That will be a public meeting. Mr. Jolly and I will deliberate and come to a decision on the recommendation that we will then make to the Board of Selectmen.
Kate, thank you very much. Jim, thank you very much. Kate, just as a follow-up to your the last part of your statement for the vacancy on the Board of Fire Engineers, when would you, like, time-wise, what do you anticipate the time frame being between collecting resumes, building the formal resume for the two candidates, having the discussions? How long do you think that will take, and what would you think the expectations for the department should be?
I think the expectation of the department is that we'll manage this in May. Unfortunately, I was unable to participate in any meetings in April of this year for personal reasons. Now that I am back, we can do this. Once we receive the information from one of the two candidates, we have all the information from one. We'll begin to, have those meetings. And it's two individuals. If anybody else would like to put their name in, we're happy to meet with you. At this point, it's just two. Those are two meetings. We're all town residents. We can get that done quickly. And then I would think that Jim and I would be prepared to talk about this at the June meeting.
I agree.
Yep.
Thank you. Jim, I'm sorry I didn't get that.
I agree with what Kate said.
Thank you.
With the caveat, because the whole town doesn't know there's an open Board of Fire Engineers position, should the Board of Selectmen somehow advertise that for more potential resumes?
We should, and we have, Jim, to an extent, had conversations with people who have voiced an interest and knew about this. Michael, how formal have we been in terms of our search for candidates we have to date, other than conversations that we've had with interested parties?
Yeah, that's the extent of the vacant position has not been advertised through either our web newsletter or social media channels.
And typically the precedent in the town has always been that the committee does the advertising. We would be happy to put something on the website, which what we've done with other committees. Chris has really expanded the social media channels, so he could also put something out to the community at large and let them know. The process we typically follow is if anything comes into the selectman's office, we will forward it to the board or committee that has vacancies.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Dave, do you want to add anything to that?
I think everything necessary has been said.
Okay. So in keeping with what Jim Dolly announced with regards to the letter and with regards to the communication this evening of the topic of the letter, the Board of Fire Engineers is pretty clear from their stance. As a Board of Selectmen, what I will entertain, Robin, before we begin, Robin and Dave, please weigh in on your comments. I'm happy to hear from members of the department if there are questions, comments regarding us, the Board of Selectmen, what our role, the role that we will play in this, the role that the town council will play in this. I'm happy to have those conversations. As you've heard from Jim, there will not be questions from the Board of Fire Engineers answered as it pertains to the merits of the letter. Robin, is there anything that you would like to add before we open this up?
So it's unclear to me that this conversation can be had because it is not on the agenda. On the agenda is the Board of Fire Engineers communication to us. Moreover, we all received a copy of the letter. The allegations made in the letter are very disturbing, and the town has a process for following such allegations. And we forwarded that to town council and have hired a special investigator. And that process will be conducted in the manner in which all personnel issues are conducted. And that is in private and not in a public meeting. When the investigation is finalized, there will be recommendations which will get shared with the department and implemented.
David?
In addition to what Robin just said, I think that I just ask that everyone recognize that this really is not an appropriate subject for an open meeting of the selectmen. And again, if this was an issue on the library board or the schools or what have you, it would be dealt with at each committee level. And that's what the Fire Board of Engineers role is to hire the officers. And I just want to echo that we hear those who wrote that letter and signed that letter. And as Robin quite eloquently put out, there's a process here and we must follow it. And that process has started, and it's going to be thorough. It's going to be independent. And then we will all get the recommendations of that report, and then at least have a reasonable factual basis to have a discussion. But right now, I personally don't wish to discuss anyone's opinion on what has or has not happened. It's just not appropriate at a Board of Selectmen meeting when we have a Board of Fire Engineers and an HR process that has to be adhered to. So those would be my comments.
Thank you. I think the three of us are saying the same thing, and I hope that everyone is hearing the level of concern, the level of time and attention that we're going to put into the matter. Mm-hmm. So, having said that, Mike, since you were the first person to speak, and I believe Fred, you were read the letter to us and read your letter to us at our last meeting. Is there anything anything else that the Board of Selectmen can add to this portion?
Yeah, John, I'll jump in. Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing that we had a citizens comment period that we passed up the opportunity to make comments because we were assured that there would be an opportunity to ask questions. And the first thing that Jim said was that they wouldn't take questions. So I just as a process standpoint, like that was misleading. So I'll just say that. The other thing that I'll add, and I'm not going to hog the mic, other people can speak to, it's our safety. It's the safety of the townspeople that we serve that are at risk here. And there was a very specific date added to that letter, which is added intentionally, May 3rd, which we expect a formal response. If what we just heard was the formal response, that's inadequate. This group is very passionate about what we're talking about. And I would just ask that everyone be mindful of the fact that we have concerns here that need to be addressed. And if Dave, to your point, this is an inappropriate forum, we expect a forum to be provided to us and all concerned parties tomorrow.
Thank you, Mike. Fred, your hand is raised. Would you like to add anything to that?
Good evening, Fred Hartman, number 4, Juniper Lane. I've made comments previously. I'd actually like to make some comments, not in regard to the letter, but in regards to the fire engineers. I was present at the last engineers meeting and had a chance to pose a question numerous times regarding their oversight of the chief, particularly leadership. And I was dissatisfied greatly with the lack of objective evidence that was provided. As I've remarked previously, the minutes are routinely 20 minutes long. They consist of approving expense vouchers and capital budget discussions, but You need to prioritize the people and the leadership over capital budgets. And as far as I can tell, based on the responses that we received at that meeting, there is gross mismanagement on the part of the fire engineers when it comes to oversight. And these are simple things, quite frankly, in my opinion. They're establishing clear standards and communication. There's regular follow-up and a complete feedback loop on the chief. The chief should not be doing his or her own performance reviews. There should be objective data should be sought from someone other than the chief who is effectively reporting on his or her own performance. And I didn't see any evidence of that, none whatsoever. And I think that that's a major problem. And if you're gonna put somebody in a leadership role, you need to make sure that they're getting the training and the mentorship if they don't have adequate leadership experience. They can't just be somebody who's managed a crew of 3 people and all of a sudden be asked to manage a crew of 40. That's a significant difference. And I disagree with the statement that this job only can be done by a full-time person. I think it can be done by a part-time person with the right training, oversight, and support. And I recognize that there's a considerable administrative burden, but I don't think that should be taken at face value. And lastly, I was disappointed to hear that the fire engineers who, I respect that they're doing something to help the town. I appreciate their service, but I question the manner in which they're doing it, are being asked to provide preliminary guidance to the Board of Selectmen to appoint the next engineer. I think that is another mistake. So we are here. We are ready to listen. We ask that the engineers and the selectmen listen to us, as to echo Mike, provide a forum for us. We want to help. We know that this department can be excellent, and it's made up of some very excellent members and some very smart townspeople. And I don't have too much more to add other than I think you need to start with listening and communicating, and we can make things better from there. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Fred.
Chairman, I need to reiterate, this is not on the agenda. This is not the venue for this discussion. The town has put a process in place that we need to follow. We have an excellent, as a matter of fact, the best investigator in the state that we have retained, who will listen to all of these issues and come up with a fair and independent report. It is not for us, this board, to adjudicate a claim. This is not the process nor the venue, nor is it on the agenda.
I'm going to agree with Robin, with Dave, and with the comments that I made earlier, and ask that you, the members, the 40 people who are on the Zoom this evening, hear us when we say we are listening. Fred, we hear you. Mike, we hear you. And as Robin and David and I have all said, the goal this evening is to listen, to let you know what the process is, our role in this process, and how seriously we take the process. So I don't think there's anything else that we, the Board of Selectmen, have to say to all of you this evening other than we are listening. We hear what you're saying. We will come back to you with solutions. Let the process play out. Let us do our job. And by an example, I will show you that this Board of Selectmen recently hired a full-time, brand new chief of police who you just heard from. We spent 7 months, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort went into that process. Please look to that process and let us demonstrate to you that we know the process, we know what we are doing with the process, and we will follow it. So, Leslie, you're the only person that has your hand up. Is there anything that you would like to add that is in keeping with what I've just mentioned and not directly related to the letter?
I just want to reiterate that as you move forward in looking for a search for an interim fire chief for a year, that you look to the members who have been on this department year after year and kind of ask us our opinion and what we think we want in a next chief. I know we've had a hard time in the last couple of years of morale within the department, so I just hope that you would look to all of us in what we vision for our next chief. I think that you have a lot of people sitting in front of you. I think there's candidates within the fire department that could be promoted internally that understand the structure of the Dover Fire Department and what it takes to be a called fire department chief, and bring the morale up. I just hope you would look to the members that have served this town for years.
Thank you. And the only thing I'd add to that, Leslie, is we appreciate all of you. And we take, as we've all said, we take the matter seriously. We will take it seriously. We will do a thorough job. And as I just mentioned, please look to the results that we have delivered to you in the past with searches for the chief of police. We will take the process seriously and we will be thorough. So I'm going to move on to the next item. Thank everyone for their attendance, and we will report back to you when we have completed this preliminary part and we are on to the next phase of this. So thank you for your attendance. The next item of business this evening is to approve the amendment to Hilltop Securities Municipal Advisory Agreement and Fee Schedule. Dave Haviland, would you like to just give us a brief summary of this?
Yes, and then Carl can back me up. But the bottom line is, this an amendment that the Hilltop asked for ahead of time. We are about to go out for a major bond underwriting process. While we will be reviewing Hilltop as part of the every one of our vendors on the financial side, right now is not the time to switch horses right before you get to the gate of the Kentucky Derby. So I would recommend doing or approving this with the caveat that the Financial Review Subcommittee or Working Group is very much on this, and we'll be fine. This is necessary as an interim step. And then we will look at it very hard along with every other vendor.
Robin?
Did I miss anything, Carl?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The only thing I would add is and this is their fee schedule, which is important. The last time this was adjusted was 2018. So it is their first adjustment in their fees for 6 years.
So typically, Carl, on an annual basis, the fee schedule is presented to the client, and in our world, the world that Dave and I live in and work in daily, this lapse of reporting is unacceptable, completely unacceptable. So we have, as you've heard from Dave, we have begun the process. We began this process just over a year ago with our conversation with the Hilltop Securities people. Subsequent reviews uncovered items like this, like we have just we've been made aware of, that it has been years of schedules that have been not been updated, of authorizations that have not been signed, and many other items that we, the Board of Selectmen, have uncovered since we began this process a little over a year ago. So Robin, is there anything that you'd like to add to this?
No, I know from the updates that Mr. Haviland has provided that this is an ongoing process, and I assume that because of this pending bond raise, this is an interim step that needs to be taken.
We have to have a bond underwriter in a firm to bring us to market, and
we have to go to market.
We have to go to market. They've asked for a fee increase. once we get beyond the bond underwriting, we'll be doing an RFP and finding out whether or not this fee increase is warranted or not. But again, you don't switch, maybe the analogy should be you don't switch jockeys 3 days before the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And that's what we would be doing. So I would recommend approving this as is, and it will be revisited in the next 3 to 6 months as part of the RFP process.
Thank you, David. I just look at it from the other side of anything else that we've done, to have a vendor to come to us right before we need to utilize their service and say, oh, by the way, we're increasing this. We've neglected to do a increase. We've neglected to amend forms that have been on file for years. It's we would never do this, or we would be reluctant to do it in any other capacity. Unfortunately, Dave, I agree with you that it's probably something we should do. It leaves a very bad taste in my mouth when we have to report back to our constituents that a firm that has not delivered what they should have delivered is going to raise their fee and then get more business from us.
I understood, but some of the worries that you have, I need to couch because it may have to do on our end with filing. We've had some interim positions, and I'm not sure this is all on Hilltop yet. So if I may ask that we withhold judgment until we have all of the facts and then can go through this methodically. We all want the same thing, John. You know that darn well. We want the money for the town of Dover working to the best of its ability. That process is in place. And well, all of us want it to to happen. So it's going to happen. But it can't happen overnight. And right now the timing may stink, but it's the way it is. And again, so it's, I guess, suppose it might be like the jockey asking for a raise 3 days before the Kentucky Derby, but I don't believe the two items are remotely related. This fee increase, Carl, came in a while back, if memory serves, didn't it?
It came in January.
So, yeah.
And Carl, when were we made aware of the fee increase?
You were made aware of it shortly thereafter, and then we were asked to defer bringing this to the board until you had a full board again. So that's why it's coming to you now, or coming back to you now.
Okay. Robin, anything else? Anything you'd like to add before I make the motion?
No, I think everything's been said.
Then I move to approve the amendment to Hilltop Securities Municipal Advisory Agreement fee schedule effective February 15th, 2024. Ask for a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye. John Jeffries.
Aye, Robin Hunter.
Aye, Dave Haviland.
Carl, thank you very much.
Sure.
David, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, board.
Dave, I'll share the seconds going forward.
I never know what to do. If you delay,
Okay.
well, John asked for a second.
The next item of business is to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Board of Selectmen and the Cemetery Commission. Mike, this is your item.
Mr. You may have, I hope you might have had a chance to see your email earlier. I got a little excited about our various agreements and was a little premature in placing this on the agenda. Just for background, as you know, your last meeting, you approved an agreement with Parks and Rec. This is an almost identical agreement. However, the Cemetery Commission is not meeting until next week. So I would ask that we defer this item and we'll bring it back to you, hopefully at your next meeting after the Cemetery Commission meets.
This is what excitement does.
That's right.
The next item of business is our Board of Selectmen item, Board of Selectmen updates on various topics, initiatives, and projects. This is one of the rare opportunities where we've had meetings on consecutive weeks. So there's not a lot to report this evening, other than our preparation for town meeting. I think probably the item that's on everybody's agenda is town meeting. And in regards to our preparation, in regards to free cash preparation, and regards to our certification of free cash. So, Michael, I'll let you cover the free cash part. I'll go over very quickly the Board of Selectmen's presentation and updates to that, and then we can move on. We can move to Robin and Dave. Sorry about that.
Yeah, wait, and I'll just jump in, as you said, with my updates, which are next. I was gonna make the same comments. It's pretty much the same as last week. It's been all things town meeting. As the board is aware, we were getting close to our deadline to have our free cash certified. I'm pleased that the state has done that. They have reviewed our forms and are happy to come back with their approval and certification that we'll be bringing forward for town meeting. I'm very appreciative of our working relationship with, obviously this board, also with the warrant committee, the moderator, as we work through this. I don't want to say panic because that's not the right word, but uncomfortable position. Challenge. Thank you. Challenge. And overall with town meeting updates, this is my first town meeting here in Dover. It hasn't been a year yet since I've been here, which some days surprises me, some days it feels right. But everybody is just so willing to step in and help, to offer their guidance, to meet, to work, for calls after hours, on weekends. And I just want to say it's been a real pleasure. As stressful as getting ready for town meeting is, we have a really great team of staff and board and committee volunteers. I'm just really appreciative for that.
Robin, would you like to add anything to this?
Updates? Do you want updates or
updates?
What Mike said. So Mike, Chris, and I have been working with the warrant committee on their presentation for town meeting. They had a dry run yesterday, and you'll be pleased to know they shortened it. The challenge was to make sure that we are completely transparent and really providing the citizens of Dover with a summary of what the cost drivers are and what comprises the increases. So I think we're almost there. We just have a few things to tweak. Really appreciate the collaboration between Warren and Chris and Mike and Carl for really, helping us get to where we are today. So thank you all. And now the pressure's on Cam.
Poor Cam.
I'm sure he'll do a really good job.
Dave Haviland, would you like to add anything at this moment with regards to updates?
No, I have no updates because we just talked about it on a previous agenda item. But I do have a question. So, John, you're going to have an opening remark and give kind of a State of the Union the way that Robin did last year?
Yes.
Okay. And then are we going to, as part of that, just inform the town that the Board of Selectmen voted unanimously to support all the warrant articles that the warrant committee approved?
Typically what happens, Dave, is as we will go through the items, Jim Repetti will ask us right before he asks Warren where the Board of Selectmen weighed in. So that has been a article by article. We can cover it in the opening remarks. I'm fine either way. Do you have a preference?
So I don't ever recall it being item by item. You know, I do recall that certain items that were sponsored by the board. And Kathy Weld's here, so maybe she remembers, because sometimes my mind is really foggy. But you know, we made a point of voting everything. So we know that our position is identical to that of what the Warren Committee has in the blue book. So I'm just kind of fuzzy, and to be honest, I could go back and watch town meeting, I guess, and see what we did. But you know, I think if we're asked, we can certainly, you know,
Opine.
say. But I think John, just in your comments, like an overall statement would be great, because we did take a lot of time to go through each and every one of the warrant articles, and then we did vote them.
Okay.
So Robin, you will address our Article 4, right?
If there are questions, you know, Cam, the warrant, you know, I worked hand in hand with the warrant committee, but if there are questions, I will answer them.
Okay, and
You know,
then
and I told Cam, you know, some of the questions, if he's comfortable, they'll answer. If not, he should just defer to me. And then the housing partnership article, I can't remember the number, but I will talk to that one. The housing task force request for consulting services. And we do have a presentation, and that presentation, I will make the presentation, but I will have the chair of the planning board in the front with me to answer any technical questions that I am not qualified to answer.
so those are the only two we're going to really speak to,
Well,
unless there's questions.
right. Because the rest, you know, I think, you know, I think John in his overall comments will set the tone for where we are as a town, you know, the challenges kind of that we're facing, and then Cam will address Article 4 and Article 5, or Article 4 mostly, so.
So now, Robin, I'm curious because you put it into my brain. May we ask Kathy if she remembers if the selectmen weighed in on articles? Because
Yeah, I would love to hear what Kathy has to say.
Well, that's great. That was a long, feels like a very long time ago, but I actually don't think that the selectmen did comment on every article. They certainly might comment on one of their bigger ones, but all of those, or answer questions if needed. But mostly the warrant committee's answering, even the ones that I think are selectmen's ones. So ones that we have every year, the, you know, sick leaves and
Right.
other things. Those. It just, you don't want to be commenting unnecessarily. I guess is we're trying to get through as quick as we can, do it in one evening, kind of thing. So I would say not. I always remember the selectmen making a comment at the beginning and warrant committee making theirs, but then only as needed for the rest. If there's a big you know, controversial or some article that you might need to comment on, or be asked to comment on, but otherwise, no. It really is. It's supposed to be the warrant committee's show, actually. They're supposed to have all the answers after all the work they've done and gone to everybody's meetings and things.
Just going through.
Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, just going through all of the highlighted items in last week's moderators meeting. The only items that the Board of Selectmen will make comments on directly, if any are necessary, the consent items, or the items that have been lumped together, Articles 6, 7, 8, and 9. If the moderator asks for where the selectmen are, the selectmen have approved the contractual obligations, budgetary and safety standards, and operational appropriations. Those are my remarks. If anyone asks, or if there is even a nod to the selectmen, absent that, it's just the warrant committee, as Kathy points out, that Cam has reserved. Cam is reserved. Michael Blanchard is reserved, and the selectmen. I just read you our notes that I covered with Jim for those articles. Other than the ones that are, as Kathy mentioned, specifically selectmen items, the only open one, Dave, that we should discuss this evening is Article 23, and that is the power grid article, and whether if you would like to take that, that's a Board of Selectmen that the moderator is going to ask for a selectman comment on.
If you would like me to, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I just it gives you one specifically for I have a couple. Robin has one. She'll probably have commentary on a couple more that are planning board and warrant related. So this one would be one, Dave, that you could handle.
Yeah,
Like
so I'm just going to take the questions though, because as you just pointed out, Warrant is going to be presenting it.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
If there is a question for the Board of Selectmen as to what aggregation may mean, and I think I sent you the blurb on it. I sent it to Mike and forwarded it to you earlier today of just why we're looking at this in keeping with operational efficiencies and standards that we're looking to improve and cost.
I was going to say, if we can save our taxpayers money, I'm in.
Right. Mike, anything to add to that?
No, and Dave, if I've gone through this process in other communities. If you want to talk it through a little Monday, beforehand, just let me know. I'm happy to chat.
You got it. It'll take 3 minutes, but I will take you up on your offer.
Perfect.
And I have one last thing to say. As you drive through Dover, I'm sure everybody has noticed how clean our streets look. And again, it's great to see the community get out there and pick up all the trash on the side of the road. For a month, I saw Girl Scouts, families. It's just, I think this is an activity that is so unique to Dover. And I love that month of April because the town is so clean. And this would not happen without the recycling committee. And I would like to thank all the members of the recycling committee for the reminders, for getting people to sign up, for making sure the highway department, for picking up the trash bags, for the notices on social media. Truly, this is one activity that I think really makes Dover special. So thank you to everybody who participated. And remember, you don't need the month of April to pick up trash. So feel free to pick it up other months of the year as well. But thank you to everybody, and I hope you enjoy participating in it.
Robin, that's very, very well said. And I'll also add it's a great way to meet neighbors.
It is.
You are out on the road, you have a trash bag, people stop and ask you, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And I saw on social media, somebody said, does anybody know why there are yellow trash bags on the side of the road? Is somebody going to pick them up? And I think, the answer was, well, you can volunteer too. So it really also makes you aware of things that get thrown out of car windows or left on the side of the road. And you're right, John, it is a way to meet your neighbors.
It's wonderful. When I was picking it up, I got a thank you and someone honking their horn and putting thumbs up as they drove by. So
right. No, I saw this man and his son on Farm Street. You know, there's no sidewalk and they were walking on Farm Street with the trash bag. It's just really a great activity.
Yeah. Oh God. It's there's an opportunity for everyone. So thank you. Michael, we're gonna move on to the upcoming agenda, the Monday, May 6th, our town meeting, town
Don't
elections.
forget, what time?
Well, we want to say 6:30, but it really starts at 7.
Everybody's start to get there at 6:30 so we can start at 7. Is that what you're
That's
saying,
right.
Michael?
That's right.
Have people get there at
There
6:15.
may or may not be pizza. We can't confirm or
We
deny.
cannot confirm or deny.
Get there, vote early, vote often. No, that's so the town election on Monday, May 20th, and the next Board of Selectmen meeting after our town meeting is Thursday, May 23rd. Then we have June 5th, June 20th, July 11th, August 1st, August 15th. And Mike, I'm assuming there's nothing else that you want to add in terms of your updates.
No, I
Do you want to?
Between last week and all the topics we discussed tonight, we're covered.
Right. So thank you for that.
It's just so busy at the townhouse. And then you guys had a little, I don't know, rain event, I guess.
A small rain event.
Right.
I'm watching the rain come down right now. I'm looking up. Everything's good so far.
Oh my God, it's raining.
Yeah.
Hard.
So you can plant, Robin. Get out there. Get your plantings.
Wow. It's so funny. I saw this lady put grass in and there were 4 days of no rain. And she said, I don't know about this. I'm hand watering. I just don't think the grass is going to grow. And I said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her since, but her grass is doing quite well.
Yeah. I'm going to move to the last item, our consent agenda. On the agenda this evening is the acceptance of a gift of land, 12.23 acres on Francis Street, from Jonathan Fryer to the Conservation Commission to approve the 2024 one-day special liquor license for June 5th. And Amy, do you want to comment on the gift, the Fryer gift to the Concom?
Well, I think my memo probably says more than you wanted to know about it, but I just
It does a lot.
I'd log in to make sure if you had any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
No, it says quite a lot. It covers it in a lot of detail. I just wanted to recognize you in case there was something that we were missing or something you wanted to weigh in on.
No, just here to answer questions. If anybody has any.
I love the history, so thank you.
Yes.
I walk, it's in my neighborhood. I walk by there all the time.
Well, thank Jonathan for the history. He's the one who told it to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually one of the things I was going to ask. Who is going to be thanking the Friars formally?
I don't know.
Well,
I guess the
I think we do.
commission.
Is that something that at least jointly? I mean, the Selectmen and Concom. But Mike, is that something we could ask you to write a letter?
Typically, we do, Dave.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
We could draft a letter of thanks and appreciation for you to sign. Absolutely.
Yeah, typically we do. And if for those of you that just are briefly, for those of you that don't look at the maps, the maps are in great detail. And as Amy Moot just mentioned, there's a lot of history to this. It's a great piece of land. If you're on Colonial and you take a right onto Betsy Lane, there's an easement on Betsy Lane to your left that goes right along the water and comes out on Francis Street, and it continues into Rocky Woods. It's just a great path. It's a great walking path. It's used by mountain bikes and used by
walkers.
Used by everyone.
But did you see the note about cranberries? Like,
Yeah.
that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm encouraging people just to go and walk it and see it, and
Right.
walk down Francis Street to the end of the pond, take a left into where the trail goes. It goes out to Betsy Lane. It's really a great little piece of property. So thank you, and Amy, thanks to Jonathan. So it really is it's a great addition. And with that, Michael, is there anything else that we need to cover this evening before we
No, you
adjourn?
hit it all. You can be ready to adjourn. Thank you.
Monday, Chris
Thank you.
Castillo, I will stop by the office tomorrow. We'll go through my notes, and then we can forward them for editing to my two editors on either side of me here, Editor Dave and Editor Robin. And I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:30 and ask for a second.
I will second that.
All in favor, I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Hi, Dave Havilland.
And one last plug, town meeting, Monday night, 7 PM. Get there by 6:30.
Please come. Thank you.
The
Thank you
sooner
all.
we get a quorum, the sooner you can go home.
Yeah. Thank everyone for their patience this evening. There's a lot on the agenda and a lot to cover, and we have a lot of work, as always, ahead of us.
And Kathy,
you all.
thank you for going down memory lane with us. I'm glad I wasn't losing my mind.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a
Thank you.
great night.